Andrew was born in Scottsdale, Arizona, and attended public school in the Scottsdale Unified School District at Kiva, Mojave, and Saguaro. A lifelong learner, Andrew received his Bachelor's of Science in Economics from ASU, a doctorate and MBA from the University of Michigan, and a Master of Sciences from the University of Colorado. Andrew now lives in the Valley where he's raising his daughter, Eleanor, there she is, and has founded two successful small businesses which continue to grow. Andrew, a devoted father, was profoundly moved by two pivotal events that compelled him to run for Congress. The Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade and his daughter's terrifying experience in an active shooter situation. These incidents ignited his deep concern for his daughter's future and underscored the urgent need for comprehensive change. Motivated by a desire to build a better future for all Arizonans, Andrew is determined to advocate for policies that ensure safety, justice, and equality for the next generation. Andrew, welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I do things a little bit differently, so I would love. I know I sent you an email yesterday. I'll speak for a couple of minutes here, and then I would love to, if possible, go to any questions in the chat. So I like being more engaged and answering questions because I like having more of a discussion. One of the first things that I do have to say before I forget, and it happens a lot, is of course I am Andrew Horne. And I all hope that you know that I am not related to Tom Horne. It is the number one question that I get asked, and we don't need that question in the chat. Right now, I'm not related to Tom Horne. I've never met him, and he and I have very different ideas on public education. So I needed to get that out of the way. And then, why am I running for United States Congress? Daddy, there's a shooter here. I was at work when I got that text, and I have to say it's probably the worst text that any parent can get from their child. Again, my name is Andrew Horne, and I'm a father concerned about my daughter Eleanor's future. When I went to school here, my parents didn't have to worry about their children getting murdered because of gun violence, but I do. Eleanor should be learning, but instead, she's crying, hiding in a closet. Thankfully, Eleanor was safe, but parents and children should not have to live like this. This district is my home. I was born in Scottsdale Memorial North to be precise, and went to our local public schools, Kiva, Mojave, Saguaro, and Arizona State. Today, I have two small businesses in the Valley. I'm an orthodontist who went to the University of Michigan for my doctorate and MBA, and the University of Colorado for residency. And after private practice in Colorado for about 5 years, we specifically moved back home to the Valley so that my daughter Eleanor would grow up with 4 grandparents in her life right here in Arizona. This is the district that we were raised in. This is where Eleanor has 4 grandparents who play a big role in her life, which is incredibly important. And my core issues are gun safety, education, healthcare, and the economy. For gun safety, nobody wants to die because they decide to go to work, to school, or out shopping. I support expanding background checks, common sense gun laws, and investing in mental health. Mental health is a very important key thing that the government used to play a role in the past, but we need to do more. Right now, we have an epidemic of loneliness in this country that the United States Surgeon General talks about often. And we need to be doing more to make connections with people and helping people with their mental health. For education, Arizona students must have access to world-class pre-K through 12 public education that will prepare them to live and work in our highly connected world. Arizona leads the nation in teacher turnover, and if we want our children to succeed, we must invest in our teachers. We need more trade school opportunities and less expensive college tuition to help people learn the skills they need to provide for their families. On healthcare, both my parents are doctors and taught me that everyone deserves accessible, affordable, and quality care. And that's not a reality for families in our current system. For our seniors, we must strengthen and protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. We also need lower prescription drug prices. For the economy, we need to rebuild and reinvent for the 21st century. That starts with upgrading our infrastructure, modernizing our ports of entry, and improving our water systems. And finally, strengthening and investing in our state's growing microchip technology and defense sectors. Mayor Gallego and Joe Biden have done a tremendous job here in North Phoenix with the TSMC plant. And that's going to change the lives of so many people in Arizona with all the jobs that it's brought here. And I'm committed to being a voice for change and progress in Congress. Together, we can make a difference and prioritize the safety of our children, the quality of our education, accessible healthcare, and a strong economy. And I hope that together, we're going to shape this future. And I would love to, like I said, go into any questions that are out there. I will say I'm going to comment. I'll look at the chat here in just a second, but Kurt was talking about fundraising. And after this primary election, I absolutely agree with Kurt and his assessment that this is a top district in the United States. And Hakeem Jeffries has already stated that $5 million is going to come in here. The DCCC has, just like Kurt said a couple $1 million. There are already organizations spending hundreds of thousands of dollars messaging against David Schweikert. And that's important because we are a frontline district, and what we need is somebody who is born and raised here. I did my Eagle Scout project in this district, serving our community and being a member here. It's really been fantastic. And one of the things that when I go door to door, I often will meet people who say, "Andrew Horne, is your brother Matt Horne? I was his high school English teacher. How's he doing?" And those are the types of connections that we bring to the table that are really going to make a big impact in removing David Schweikert, because he only won last cycle by 3,195 votes. And then I'll see, oh, Kurt was the only one to message in there. Morgan, I thought you were going to get in there since you were in there, but I'd love to open it up to any questions.
Andrew, before you do that,
Go ahead.
this is Janie. Would you please recap by title what your priorities were? It sounds like the Republican values, opposites, the things that they are against. So would you please list those again?
Absolutely. So there are a lot of different ways to do it. Typically, certainly when I'm at a door, I say my top issues are public education, gun safety, and women's rights. Those are the things that really got me into this decision, into this race. The Dobbs decision played a huge role, and we just had that anniversary yesterday. But public education, Eleanor's in our public schools, and her mother is a 5th grade teacher in the Deer Valley School District. And I see firsthand the destruction of our public schools. I've talked about it a tremendous amount, but in our public schools, 25% of the teaching positions in Arizona are unfilled. And that's here in our community. Eleanor often does not have a teacher in 5th grade. So she will do one of two things. One, they will combine the entire grade. So they will take Eleanor and put her into the other 5th grade classroom, and they'll have 56 kids in one classroom. That's certainly unacceptable. Nothing's getting done in that classroom. And the other option that they have is taking Eleanor's classroom and they divvy them up. So Eleanor will come home and say, "Today I spent the day in 1st grade." And again, that is not helpful to the 1st graders, the 2nd graders, the 3rd graders, or the 5th graders like Eleanor who are in that classroom. And we need to be supporting our teachers, supporting our institutions, absolutely supporting public education in every way that we can. And that's, I say that's not only K through 12. That's also our trade schools. That's also our higher institutions. That's also things like the NIH, the National Institutes of Health. That's the CDC. We need to be spending money on research and development. What we need to be doing is declaring war on cancer and making sure that we have research dollars going to better our nation, better our community, and that's incredibly important. So just a quick recap again, since I know I went a little bit longer, but public education, gun safety, and women's rights.
And all three have to do very much with Eleanor, your daughter. So you could say that you have a personal investment in making sure that legislation is protective to women and I mean to everyone really, but especially to women in those three areas.
Absolutely. And on that, women are not the only ones affected by abortion bans like the 1864 abortion ban. Women are, of course, the most directly affected, but there's so many things that doctors coming into the state of Arizona are hesitant to come in, whether they're OBGYN, emergency medicine, even dermatology. When you get a state that is restricting people's rights, when doctors feel potentially under threat, the residencies here in Arizona have had a harder time matching. In states across the country with abortion bans and restrictive practices, they have a harder time getting doctors. That you can see that on a national level, certainly in the past, say when China had their issues in the 60s and 70s, where they go after highly educated, intelligent people. People are unwilling to go to those states. So here in Arizona, there are fewer OBGYNs today than there were a couple of years ago. We are having people leave this state. That means even if you're not in childbearing age, it's harder for a woman to get an appointment with an OBGYN. It's harder for other people to get appointments with their doctors because there are fewer doctors per population. And that's a real issue, again, not only for women, but for everybody. We need to be encouraging healthcare providers, educators to be coming to this state, not pushing them out.
Thank you. If you have a question, you can simply go to the bottom of your screen where it says raise hand and raise your hand. We'll call on you. Or if you would rather type a question for Andrew in the chat, you can do that. I love the way you've been rambling, so just keep on going, Andrew.
Exactly. I can do that if nothing pops in. I can continue to ramble. It was lovely. I'm glad you got to meet my parents at the Jill Biden event. They had a fantastic time. My mom yesterday was able to attend Vice President Harris in Phoenix here, and that's fantastic. And getting out there with our community is something that I've been doing for I mean, I'm not that old, but decades is meeting these political leaders, being involved in their campaigns. You know, Biden, I was at ASU when Biden came there in 2008 and then returned in 2009. And it's a tremendous honor to be a part of this cycle and get involved in the way that I am. I will say, just like so many of you, in 2016, when Donald Trump got elected, I was devastated. I had a 3-year-old daughter at that time. And for me, I say often it's at what point in the night did you break down and you cried? Because that's how it was. Having a 3-year-old daughter at the time, when she started school and she would come home and say, President Trump, it just broke my heart. It really did. And when the Dobbs decision happened, that was a big moment for all of us. And it was certainly one where things came to a head. And it was, I need to go from helping with campaigns and get involved, get in front, because I know that I can remove David Schweikert. With my background in this community, born and raised here, having a small business, as Morgan was discussing, I'll take that question in a second. I know this community. I share the values of this community, and David Schweikert does not. And I hear that every single day when I'm at the doors and people say, hey, I'm a Republican, but David Schweikert supported this 1864 ban. we got to get him out of here. He doesn't, IVF. uh, These are fundamental things in people's lives that he is against, and we're continuing to talk about them. And as you all know, now Morgan's question here in the chat was, Andrew, if you are in Congress, how will your businesses fare? And how is your family thinking about spending so much time in DC? Tough for anyone. And that's correct. So for the businesses, I do own a dental office here in town right now, and for the last year and a half, my full focus has been on removing David Schweikert. It's going to events with Kurt, who we're friends. We go to so many events together. We speak to people every day. We're on the phones. We're knocking on doors. I have 3 doctors in my office taking care of the patients. I still own the office. I still manage it. I still pay all the taxes and do payroll. But my full focus is on removing David Schweikert. And when I go to Congress in this January, I expect that to continue. I'll still have doctors in the practice. The patients will be taken care of. As a family, that is tough. Absolutely. One of the interesting things that people, I find that don't think about all that often is Congress is typically in session. Of course, there's a lot more work to do and you need to be in DC, but Congress is in session, depending on the year, roughly 90 days. So that's about 3 months. It was crafted so you are in DC representing the people, but you're in your district listening, communicating, going to town halls, and talking with the people here in our community. And that's what I expect to do. If I lose, will I support the Democratic nominee? Absolutely. I'm on record saying that so many times. I am here to remove David Schweikert, and whoever comes out of this primary, and I hope it's me, I fully expect it to be me, I will be supporting. I will continue to knock on doors, and just like Adam Metzendorf went to events for Jevin Hodge so they could split their time, I would be honored to do that for whoever comes out of this primary.
Andrew, thank you so much for being our guest today. Good luck to you